Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you've been working at your coaching business for a while, you might have found out by now that it's not as easy as you thought to get clients. If that is you, I want to invite you to check out my free workshop sharing how to go from crickets to clients, creating a freebie funnel formula. So in the series, I share with you how to make a freebie that people actually want, that they actually opt into, so that you can grow your email list, so that you always have an audience to share your offers with. And you always have an audience where they are being nurtured by you, they're moving through the sales cycle, and you're not stuck every time you have a launch feeling like you have zero eyeballs on your content. So if that has been you, if you've been stuck in that and you know you need a bigger audience, you know you need to nurture your audience, go to haileyrowe.com/live event, all one word, to get the free series and get started. Today we're going to talk about what are the 4 key things you need to have in place for a positive client onboarding experience. So before we get started, the first thing you need to even have a client is an offer. If you don't have an offer that's clear, that has clear things that are included within that package or offer, and that is focused on a certain benefit or outcome or a couple of dream outcomes or benefits that your target audience wants, that is the first thing you need to get clear on. Because if you are on a discovery call with somebody and they say, how can I work with you? You want to be able to confidently answer that. And I don't recommend typically for most coaches to offer just single sessions, because then you're a commodity and you're just selling time for dollars instead of selling what kind of outcome are you guys going to be working on together, and why is that valuable, and why do they want that? And that is going to be a way more clear, good offer than somebody just shopping around and deciding the cheapest dollars per hour coach, right? If somebody's coming to you because they want to solve their, insert specific gut issue, or they want to solve their challenge with a certain habit, they want to quit smoking, or they want to get a job promotion or something like that, it's much more compelling to have an offer that helps them with that and focus on what's included and how it works, rather than saying, I sell single sessions and we just talk for an hour every other week and that's how it works, right? So it's not to say that you're not going to have sessions included in your package, but that's what we call the feature. And what I'm saying is, if you want to onboard a client who is excited to work with you, you want to focus on what kind of outcomes are you guys going to be working on together? What kind of goals or tangible results are you going to be solving together? So that's the first thing. Is the first thing you need is a really good offer, right? Because the onboarding experience is going to be more pleasant if somebody is excited to work with you and clear on what you guys are going to be working on and, is looking forward to it. So that's the first thing. But the second thing, once they say, yes, I do want to take you up on this offer, you're going to need to have a couple things in place. The first thing is you're going to want to have a next steps email or link that you can send them. This can be something you share either live on the call together, where they can pay on the call and sign the agreement on the call and get started and set up their first session with you. Or it can be something you email them and make sure that if you are working with somebody, they have you've decided a clear timeline together for when they're getting started. You've set up the date, you have an agreement and a due date on the invoice, things like that. So you would send an email or a welcome next steps document or email that basically says, here is how we get started. Number 1, I've included an invoice. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's how to pay it. And number 2, I've included an agreement, which will be your contract. And to sign it, here's how you do that. And number 3, I have a link to, my client onboarding form or welcome form. And it we'll go through what's your top goals, what's most important to you to get out of this coaching, what do you want me to know before our first session, whatever questions you need to know from somebody before they get started. And, last but not least, here's the Zoom link for our first session, things like that. So this welcome email is something that allows you to set expectations, let people know how they get started. And ideally on your call, you'd either be able to give that to them or you'd be able to email it within, right after the call or the same day that you had the call. Now, let's talk about the invoice and the agreement, because those are the other two things you're going to need. With an invoice, you have a couple options. You can have like an invoice that you put their name, you put the description of what they bought, you put the amount, and then you list your Zelle information or your business Venmo. If you have a business Venmo, make sure you have a business Zelle, like your Zelle is linked to your business account if you're going to do that. Or you could say, here's how I accept payments, PayPal, here's my PayPal link. So that can be as simple as you making a document in Google Docs or on your computer and having that as an attachment and then having your payment info listed or how to wire the money or whatever it is. That's one option. The other option is to use something like Stripe.com, which allows you to send an invoice straight to somebody's email and allows them to securely pay with a credit card or ACH transfer. And that's also free to use. It's just that Stripe or PayPal will take a percentage of the amount of money you charge someone. That's how they get paid. So I use Stripe for a lot of like my monthly membership that is recurring and renews. I use Stripe. It makes it very easy, but you can also manually make invoices in Stripe. So that can be an option for you if you're feeling stuck about what to use. So those are your two options for the invoice, and the agreement is something that you will need to either seek out a lawyer to help you with, or maybe your coaching certification company gave you an agreement to use. Or for my clients, I have a lawyer who I recommend who has a really amazing contract template. So if you guys are curious about that, you can comment here on this video or message me on Instagram at Hailey_Rowe if you need a link to that. But she has a whole thing for coaches, including what to put on your website, what to put in your agreement, all sorts of forms you need legally. So we need to have a contract. It needs to share, obviously, the description of the coaching, what's included, how it works, what's your refund policy if you have one, what's your cancellation policy, what is expected of you versus what's expected of the client, all of that kind of stuff, and how you will, handle disputes, all of that. And to have somebody be able to sign it, you have a couple options. You could either have your agreement set up as like a PDF or a Google document. And what you would do in order to have somebody be able to sign it is you would you'd send it as a PDF, but you'd be able to say open as a Google Doc, and then you can have them you could write the directions in your onboarding emails. You could say, to sign this, go, do XYZ. And there's actually a way within Google Docs where you can insert a signature and kind of scribble it in. So I'm not going to go into detail on that on this video, but there is a way to do it. And so you could include the agreement that way and make it easy. Or what I say is you can also print it out, sign it, and take a screenshot and send it to me. That's an option. Or you can use something like PandaDoc, DocuSign. There's a couple others. There's a lot of tools out there where it will let somebody do an electronic signature really easily, and it will host the document for you and save it in one place, all your contracts in one place. So that's an option as well, but those usually have a charge to them. So you got some options here. You got the ability to send an agreement as an attachment, and they can do the signature with Google Drive. If you want the directions for that, let me know, but I don't want to read out the directions on this live video. Or you can use one of those hosting platforms that allow you to do electronic signatures and make it easy for you and all that. And then as far as how to schedule your sessions and all of that, you can use a calendar link. I use calendly.com, or you can manually schedule it with somebody and make sure you give them a Zoom link. You'll need Zoom, right? So all of these things make up your onboarding experience. We need to set expectations. We need to say how to get started. We need to make it easy. We need to schedule the first session. And the last thing you need is once somebody does pay you and sign the agreement, now is your opportunity to clearly explain how everything's going to work, give them a roadmap, and help them get started with their next steps. So one of my favorite things to do is when a new client comes on board, we have their first session and we do an onboarding call. And what that includes is I go through their welcome workbook about their top goals or what they want to work on, all of that. And I prepare based on that what they're going to need as starting materials and what I'm going to suggest in our first session. But I also, during the first session, give them the lowdown about how the calls work, how to access me in between sessions for questions, how to access their resources in the program, how to, stay organized with those or search through the documents if they need to find something specific, how to get engaged in the client community that I have for my clients, all that stuff to just give them the rundown of here's how to make the most out of this program. And I highly suggest, I also have a module in my program that is how to get the most out of this, how to succeed in this program. And I have some mindset stuff and I have some ways that I suggest using the material and learning throughout the journey together. And I have weekly reflection questions that help them, keep me updated and keep us together in sync about what's going on, what's their goals for the week, what obstacles are they facing, that kind of stuff. So make sure if you could look at your program at a glance and say, here are the things somebody needs to know to get started and to make the most out of it. And here are the weekly reflection questions I want to use with my client to make sure that they're getting value out of this and we're staying in touch. Come up with all of that and discuss it in your first onboarding session. Now, there are other things you can do to spruce up the client experience and do what I call surprise and delight your clients. But in the interest of making this video short and sweet, let's just recap. You're going to need to schedule the first session. When they say they want to move forward, you're going to send your welcome email or link on the call, go through it together, where you give the payment link, the agreement, how to book the sessions, how to fill out your onboarding form. I host my onboarding form in Google Forms. Then you're going to have the first session, set expectations, let them know how to access you, let them know the best communication methods with you, how to make the most out of this experience, and give them, go through the first steps based on what's most important from their welcome workbook. And then from there, you're going to keep, of course, supporting them and pivoting along the way if you need to, based on what happens, what their goals are, if they evolve, all of that. So if you want help with setting up your offer, your onboarding form, your client experience, all that kind of stuff, this is something I help clients with in the inner circle. And if you're just like, well, hold on, first I need to get a client. And if that is you as well and you're struggling with that, I have a workshop coming up September 4th. It's going to be on a Thursday. It's at 11:30 Central, and you can come and learn how you can attract clients using Instagram. That's what we're going to be going through. I'm going to be answering your top questions about Instagram and how to use it in a way that's probably not conventional, meaning it's not just about posting reels. It's not just about doing Instagram stories. There's more to it than that, and we're going to talk about that. So can't wait. If you want to come, just comment workshop below, and I'll send you my link to sign up to my email list so you can be in the know about when that is. All right. If you're listening to this on the podcast and it's past September 4th, you can let me know and we can send you the replay most likely. So I don't know when this is going to come out as a podcast. All right. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.